Hello folks, and welcome to a very, very different kind of video on the channel today. I'm sure you've already seen from the thumbnail, from the title, that this is something very, very different from what we'd ordinarily do. And I do want to put a disclaimer up there before we start. This isn't something I'm doing as a gag. There's no punchline to this. There's no funny. For a long time now, anyone who knows me well in real life, and I include Anna in that, I include my kids, my ex-wife, my dad, my friends, pretty much anyone who spent any decent amount of time with me, have always said that, Kev, you're a little bit, depending on who it is, Kev, you're a little bit weird. Kev, your brain doesn't work the same way to other people's. Kev, have you ever been tested for ADHD or Asperger's or any of these other conditions that could cause me to be a little bit different from how people ordinarily might act? I posted about this in the Facebook group yesterday just to make sure that it wasn't a topic that I shouldn't really talk about, because as the title and the thumbnail say, I'm going to be doing an autism spectrum test on camera. I haven't done it yet, so we're going to go through the questions together. I'm going to explain why I'm answering the way I'm answering them, and then we'll see what the result is, and it may or may not tell me that I'm on the autism spectrum. The reason I suspect that I might be, after years of Anna telling me that there's this trait and that trait and the other trait that I might have, there's a few big pointers that suggest that it might be something that I'm affected by. I really don't like social situations. I even remember when we did our live show in Nottingham last year, I made a joke about it on stage that if you want to talk to me off stage, make sure I've got my camera in my hand. So if I've got my camera in my hand, I'm confident and comfortable and happy, and I'll do something on camera and I'll be completely fine. If I've not got my camera in hand, I can't do small talk. I'm the most awkward person in the world to have a conversation with. I've been to various networking events and team building events and things like that over the year. I just can't do them. And it's not what my understanding of anxiety is, because it's not that I'm afraid to go and talk to people. It's that I just don't know how. I've never really been able to do it. When I go to a party, I'll just happily sit at a table and mess about on my phone or read a book, or really rather not be there at all. But also, in addition to that, we've got the fact that I have a very obsessive personality. When I decided I wanted to be an author a few years ago, I wrote 600,000 words in a year. When I decided I wanted to do YouTube, I leapt straight into daily content, and now I'm doing it full time. I release 3 or 4 videos every single day, 7 days a week. Haven't missed a day for ages. I just throw myself into stuff head on. It becomes an obsession. And yesterday, as you saw in yesterday's vlog, some of the videos weren't coming out on time. I found that really stressful, that my videos weren't going to be out on time. And intellectually, I know there's no reason to worry about that. If a video is 10 minutes late, a video is 10 minutes late. Who really cares? But at the time, it got me really wound up. I was snapping at Anna. I was just generally being grumpy. And I don't have an explanation for why I reacted to it in that way, because if I talk it out now, looking back on it now, I can see that it was a strange reaction to have. I shouldn't have reacted in that way. It's just one of those things that happens. Sometimes a video is late. But I really didn't like it at the time. Plus, then you throw in the fact that I've talked before about my statistic about Football Manager, that if the Steam tracking of Football Manager is correct, and because I've put in hundreds and hundreds thousands of hours on Football Manager since it's been tracking the hours on Steam, and if I trace that back over the full 25 years of that game existing and me playing that game, and if I've always played at roughly the same level I play now, then I've spent about 10% of my adult life playing one video game. And I don't get bored of it. And I love it. And I've found a way to make it my job. And when I had other jobs, it crept in on that as well. I would play that game at the expense of other things. Yeah, you can call it addiction, or you can call it just a compulsion, a need to play that game, rather than go out and sell people mortgages, or I used to take my laptop to work with me and sit in my office when I was a financial advisor and play Football Manager. When I was a travelling sales rep, I'd stay at home some days and play Football Manager. When I was a teacher, I wouldn't take work home with me because I'd come home and I'd play Football Manager. So there's lots of little clues. There's other stuff as well that we don't necessarily need to get too bogged down into. And I'm sure stuff will come out as we go through the test as well. But there's lots of reasons to have suspicions. Even when I was a kid, my mum wouldn't let me. I mean, she always told me I was hyperactive. I guess now that it's perhaps something that I would go and see a doctor about and maybe get some kind of diagnosis of ADHD. Who knows? The way it was dealt with back in the 80s was I wasn't allowed fizzy pop, and I wasn't allowed to go to birthday parties without some very specific instructions from my parents about what I could and couldn't do while I was there, and just lots and lots of little clues over the last 35 years of my life. And I'm not doing this test because I want help or because I want to change anything. I probably, regardless of what the outcome is, I don't expect I'll ever take it any further. It's just I think it'd be quite interesting just to see what this one online test tells me about some of the traits that I display. I understand that it's just an online test. It doesn't mean a diagnosis one way or the other, and you have to take it all with a pinch of salt, but I thought it would be an interesting process to go through. So after all of that waffle, hopefully I've scared off all of the trolls who are here to tell me I was a monster for even attempting to do this on the internet. Let's launch into the test. I think there's about 50 questions. I'm going to go through each of them. If it seems really obvious why I'm answering one way or the other, we'll go through it fairly quickly. If I think a question needs a little bit more depth, I'll give it a little bit more depth. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I have a feeling that after a 6 or 7 minute intro, it might be a bit of a long one, but hopefully interesting. So the one I've chosen to do, I just Googled Baron-Cohen test because I understand that's like the industry standard of tests that are done. If I'm wrong about that, let me know down in the comments. I can always do another one, but I just put that into Google, and this was the first one that when I clicked on the link took me straight through to a test. So I don't know if it's the best one. I don't know if it's a reliable one. I haven't put as much research into this as perhaps I could have done, but it's got what? It is exactly 50 questions. So we'll go through, answer the questions. Each one of them is a statement, and then I either definitely agree, slightly disagree, or definitely disagree. And then we hit continue, and I guess it gives me the result. I hope it's not just the first 50 questions, and then we move on into something else. So let's lump straight into it then. I prefer to do things with others rather than on my own. I'll slightly disagree with that. I don't mind doing stuff with other people, but I chose to leave a job where I was working with other people to come and sit in my garage and talking to a camera every day. I think that says a lot about whether I'd rather be with people or be on my own. I prefer to do things the same way over and over again. I would definitely agree with that. My video making process is a great example of that. I go through the exact same routines every single day. That's the way I like to do it. If anything doesn't work the way I want to do it, I would rather set up a new routine rather than just do it a different way that day. If I try to imagine something, I find it very easy to create a picture in my mind. Yeah, I would say I definitely agree with that. I've written fiction. I think I can tell a good story. If I imagine a dishwasher now, I can see a dishwasher in my head quite clearly. I frequently get so absorbed in one thing that I lose sight of other things. I don't know if frequently. Well, let's slightly agree with that. I mean, the Football Manager when I'm supposed to be working thing, that's a good example of that. I would get absorbed in it at the expense of doing my actual job. But I don't know, and the example I used on Facebook yesterday was I could go a week of making videos every day, feeling like I was being really productive and not notice that I hadn't cleaned the house for a week. That's happened before. You lot have noticed that's happened before. And I just don't notice. So yeah, let's say we slightly agree with that. I often notice small sounds when others don't. Don't think that's true at all. I know when Anna first moved in, she made me take all the batteries out of all the clocks because she couldn't stand the ticking noise. I never even noticed that there was a ticking noise. So we definitely disagree with that one. I usually notice car number plates or similar strings of information. I love car number plates. I will be driving around and I'll just say a weird sounding word to Anna and she won't know what I'm talking about, and it's because I'm telling her the word that's on the car number plate that we've just seen. My dad's the same. My dad always did that when I was a kid as well. It's just, yeah, they're just little strings of information. It's fascinating. I'm a computer programmer. Of course I like strings of information. Other people frequently tell me what I've said is impolite, even though I think it's polite. I wish there was an in-between on that one, because I think I'm aware that I'm impolite, but not that bothered by it. So, like if the example I used before, if I'm at a party, I know I'm not being polite to people because it doesn't interest me to be polite. I try sometimes, but most of the time I just choose not to put myself in that situation rather than... No, I think we'll disagree with that because I recognise that I'm being impolite. And if I really, really need to be polite, like in a job interview, for example, I can turn it on and be polite. It doesn't feel natural, but I know how to do it. So we'll say we disagree with that one. When I'm reading a story, I can easily imagine what a character might look like. Yeah, I don't think I don't think that's something that I have an issue with. I don't know. I put it in sort of the same category as dreaming. It's not like I'm watching a movie in my head. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, but if, like, I like the Jack Reacher books, for example, when it's described that he's a 6'6" muscle-bound man, I can see a rough approximation of a 6'6" muscle-bound man digging a hole in my head. So, not digging a hole in my head, digging a hole, and it's happening in my head. But yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that. I'm fascinated by dates. I don't know if fascinated is the right word. We're going to say we slightly agree with that. I love a spreadsheet, and I love to put dates in a spreadsheet. I have, for no reason at all really, I have spreadsheets set up for each of the YouTube channels that has the dates down the side of the spreadsheet, and I use it to keep track of my Football Manager videos, so I know what episode numbers coming out on what days. But I also put vlogs on it, even though there's no topic for the vlog, no vlog number, but I have the date of when each episode number of the vlog will come out, just so I know what episode number is and what day, despite not numbering the episodes anywhere other than on these spreadsheets, and I've done that since it started. So I enjoy dates. I used to love getting a new diary or a new calendar when I was a kid. I would write into it straight away. I now use Google Calendar constantly. Dates are cool. In a social group, I can easily keep track of several people's conversations. Yeah, don't think that's a problem really. I find social situations easy. We'll slightly disagree because I'm comparing myself against Andy there, for example. I don't enjoy social situations, but I don't feel bad about them. They don't cause panic. I'm not afraid of them. I certainly don't react to them the way he does. So I'd put him as a strong disagree. I maybe a slight disagree because I'd rather be doing something else, but it's not stressful. I tend to notice details that others don't. I don't know. It depends what we're talking about. This is another one where I'd like to go in the middle. I guess that's why there's no middle there. It wants me to go one way or the other. I'm going to come back to that one, I think, while I have a think about it. I'd rather go to a library than a party. Absolutely. I've said many times I've only been clubbing 4 times in my life, and 2 of them were school Christmas parties that I kind of had to go to because it was a school Christmas party. I don't like parties at all. I find making up stories easy. Yeah, I consider that what I do as my job, making up stories, whether it's writing books, which I haven't done for a little while, or telling a story attached to Football Manager, or even telling stories on these vlogs. I think I can spin a good yarn. I find myself drawn more strongly to people than to things. Yeah, we're gonna have to disagree with that. If I was using the party example again, if there was new people there that I could go and meet on one side of the room and an updated iPhone on the other side of the room, or a stack of comics on the other side of the room, I'm going for those things every single time. I tend to have very strong interests, which I get upset about if I can't pursue. Yep. You can see by my career history, by what I choose to do for a job, I have strong interest in YouTube, I have a strong interest in video games, I have a strong interest in comics and collecting, and I've found a way to make sure I can pursue them. I enjoy social chit-chat. Absolutely not. It's pointless. When I talk, it isn't always easy for others to get a word in edgewise. No. Well, I don't know. It depends what I'm talking about. If it's something that I'm passionate about, like, I can talk for hours. But if it's just a conversation that has no purpose, then I won't say anything at all, really. It isn't always easy. Let's slightly agree. I'm fascinated by numbers. I love numbers. Same as with dates. Numbers are great. I did maths A level. Numbers are awesome. It's what drew me to being a financial advisor in the first place. Numbers are great. When I'm reading a story, I find it difficult to work out the character's intentions. No, I think I'm pretty much on board with that. I don't particularly enjoy reading fiction. Strongly disagree with that as well. I find it hard to make new friends. I've made 1 friend as an adult. I notice patterns in things all the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time I notice patterns. I'd rather go to a theatre than a museum. No. To be honest, I don't really want to go to either of them. If, gun to my head, you said you want to go to the theatre or a museum, I'm going to go to the museum. But I'm going to say slightly disagree, because I'd rather go... There's a whole lot of places higher on the list than either of them. It doesn't upset me if my daily routine is disturbed. Yeah, we'll strongly disagree with that. It does upset me if my daily routine is disturbed, as demonstrated yesterday. I frequently find that I don't know how to keep a conversation going. Absolutely. Unless I'm trying to convey information or get information, the conversation just dies. I was in the chemist's the other week when I had to wait like 45 minutes to pick up Andy's medication. Sheepdog's wife was in there. As she came in, she said hello. I went over and made a joke, because that's what I do when I don't really know what to say. We then stood there, not speaking to each other for about 20 minutes, and then I left without saying goodbye. I have no idea how to keep a conversation going. I find it easy to read between the lines when someone is talking to me. I think I can do that. I usually I'm all over the place on this. I don't know what that means. I usually concentrate more on the whole picture rather than on the small details. Yeah, I love a grand plan, and I work out the details later. I'm not very good at remembering phone numbers. I'm pretty good at remembering phone numbers. Not great. It's easier to remember a phone number than a face and a name for me. I'm not very good with names, but I know my own phone number. I used to know all my friends' phone numbers when I was at school. You don't really have to learn phone numbers now, do you? You know your own, and all the rest live in your phone. I don't usually notice small changes in a situation or a parent. Oh, absolutely agree. The amount of times Anna's been upset that she's changed her hair or has got new clothes, and I just don't notice. I just don't know she's done it. I always put it down to my colour blindness, but then she'll say, yeah, it's not just the colour, I've changed the style. I've got a fringe now. I don't think she's ever had a fringe, but with my ex-wife, that came up a lot. Yeah, I don't notice anything like that. I don't notice if someone's wearing makeup. I don't notice really what they're wearing. I know how to tell if someone listening to me is getting bored. Yeah, I do, which is why I started communicating through a camera, so people didn't have the opportunity to get bored when I spoke to them. No, I do know when people are getting bored. I find it easy to do more than one thing at once. I don't know if easy is the right word. I don't know. Like, I can wash up and listen to music. Does that count as two things? I can have a conversation and drive a car, but I can't. I don't know. I couldn't drive a car and write a novel at the same time, and then who can? I guess we'll slightly agree, because I don't really get the question. When I talk on the phone, I'm not sure when it's my turn to speak. I very rarely talk on the phone. I kind of have a policy of not answering the phone and then texting people. I don't like talking on the phone at all. I think I'll slightly agree with that. I used to work in telesales, and it was horrible. I hated doing it. I used to not like having to make the phone calls at all. Whereas face-to-face, I'm fine-ish. But on the phone, not so much. I enjoy doing things spontaneously. I kind of do. I like a spontaneous thing. They're often planned. Planned spontaneity. Just like Monica on Friends. I'm often the last to understand the point of a joke. I'll disagree with that. I find it... No, I'll definitely disagree with that. I find it... Because I often find myself laughing at things that aren't funny. Well, no, not that things aren't funny, things that other people don't find funny. Like when Amy did her panto before Christmas, there was a point in that where... I was laughing at different things what other people were laughing at. So they'd laugh at the traditional panto jokes, which I'm pretty sure were fake laughs just for the sake of laughing. Whereas I would laugh at the use of like there was a word, I can't remember what the word was, but a word that isn't normally used in general conversation now, and just it being thrown in, and I'm just like, you really just say that? It's probably something like doo-doo. Doo-doo. Oh, I'm such a child. I find it easy to work out what someone is thinking or feeling just by looking at their face. I mean, this is the source of so many arguments with Anna. You know, she'll do not that we argue all the time, but when we do, it's often about something where she feels that I've done something wrong. I don't know what I've done wrong, and I can't tell by looking at her face. I'll list things that I could have done that could be wrong, and I don't know which. Yeah, it causes problems. If there's an interruption, I can switch back to what I was doing very quickly. Yeah, I think I can do that. I'm good at social chit-chat. Didn't we already have that one? I'm not. I'm definitely not good at that. People often tell me that I keep going on and on about the same thing. That's the most regular vlog topic in the world. When I was young, I used to enjoy playing games involving pretending with other children. Not with other children. Like, I would have my He-Man figures and I'd have my wrestlers, but I'd play with them by myself and not really play with them. I would set them up in poses, but I wouldn't really move them around a lot. Similar to how I play with my figures now. I'll set them up in a funny way, take a picture, put it on Instagram, and then put them away again, but I'm not playing with them. I am 35 now. I acknowledge that. I like to collect information about categories of things. Types of cars, birds, no, but if you change that to football, wrestling, comic books, absolutely. I love information about that kind of thing. I will sit and read Wikipedia. I can get so lost on Wikipedia for so long. I find it difficult to imagine what it would be like to be someone else. I never really think about it. I don't know. No, probably not. I don't ever... Do people really sit there imagining what it would be like to be someone else? I like Kev. Kev's cool. I like to carefully plan any activities I participate in. Not any activities, but a lot of activities. No, I do like planning. I enjoy social occasions. I do not. I find it difficult to work out people's intentions. No. Well, sometimes, but not really. New situations make me anxious. Again, I don't think anxious is the right word. I like new. I like adventure. I enjoy meeting new people. Not really. I'm a good diplomat. I think I can be a good diplomat. It's part of being a teacher, and I think I was quite good at that side of things. Not great, but pretty good. I'm not very good at remembering people's dates of birth. See, I would have thought that I was, but, like, I get the year wrong. So, I don't know. We'll say slightly agree. I find it very easy to play games with children involve pretending. Yeah, I can do that. That's pretty easy. Well, there was one that we didn't answer, wasn't there? I really shouldn't have left one because now I can't remember where it was. That one. I tend to notice details that others do not. Let's disagree because I can't think of an example of where I've done it. Right, I think that's all of them. Let's hit continue and see what happens.
Click the button to download and get started.
What? This is just an advert. This is just an advert. Go away, advert. Oh, I clicked on the advert. Click score my answers. There we go. Your score was 27 out of a possible 50. Scores in the 26 to 32 range indicate some autistic traits. Brackets, Asperger's syndrome. Okay, just in the range. There we have it. Like I said at the start, I don't really know what I'm going to do with that. Let me know down in the comments if I should do anything with that, because ultimately, I'm living a good life. I enjoy what I do. I don't think I necessarily need any changes. I certainly don't think I need any support with things. I don't think it's a problem that I don't like social situations. I just like being me. But apparently, I do show, I would say at the very low end, I do show some autistic traits, brackets, Asperger's syndrome. There we have it. I didn't really think how I was going to end this video. It's an interesting outcome, I guess. If there's a better test than this, let me know in the comments, and I'll go away and mull that over and decide if there's anything else that I should do with that. I don't know. Full disclosure, I was kind of expecting the other answer. Okay, if you have enjoyed that video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for regular videos. There won't be stuff like this again. This is completely different to anything we've done in the last year or so. Don't expect this, but you might want to subscribe for some follow-up to see if I do anything with it. And thank you very much for watching.